Hello again. Hope you all are doing well. Coming to you from my incredibly messy office on campus. Wanted to talk a little bit more about the course, what we'll be getting into in the first week or so. If you've been poking around in the course, you may have noticed that I've crossed out some readings. I'm going to bump some of the readings I had planned for this week a little bit later in the course, since I'm going to be getting some of those files digitized as I had mentioned. If you have extra time and you want to read ahead, you can definitely dive right into Second Machine Age, or perhaps some of the other upcoming readings for the course that are linked in Blackboard. So I know some people like to front load before the course gets busy, so if you're a person who likes to read ahead, definitely go ahead and do that. That's absolutely fine. I have been working in the course to get some things rolled out today, so you should see a lot more work available, a lot more updated due dates, so sorry about the little bit of lag there. So in the class, I want to talk a little bit about some strategies to help you be successful in the course. First of all, I recommend that you try to be open to new interpretations and new ideas. We're going to re-examine things that we use and do on a regular basis, and that's going to take a little work to step outside of our usual point of view. And that can be hard sometimes, and I want us to all be willing to try on new viewpoints, new perspectives, and to try to understand how something could be seen in a different light. And that may require acknowledging positive or negative views of technologies or concepts that we already have. You may already have your mind made up about an issue, but it's important to be able to think about that issue from someone else's perspective. So we'll be doing a lot of critical thinking. We'll be doing a lot of trying to step outside of ourselves and our own experiences, and to see things from other people's vantage points too, to get a bigger picture. So we'll be working a lot on developing critical and analytical skills. These are skills that you need in your daily life. A lot of us let these skills get rusty, unintentional, because we're just moving through life and trying to get by. It's easy to adapt to kind of running automatically without thinking about the things that we do and the choices we make. So we're going to try to become more aware of technology's effects and be more cognizant of our choices and our exposures. So it's going to take some effort, but it's definitely worthwhile. Something else we'll do in the course is learn a bit about popular culture. We're going to learn about history and art and society, and understand what forces shape you, what forces shape your culture. We don't exist by ourselves with no outside influences. We don't live in a vacuum. We're affected by everything around us. Our ideas, our preferences, our actions are in many ways shaped by our environments, and our lives and choices are part of something bigger than just ourselves. So keep this in mind as we get into the beginnings of the course. So these are just some of the reasons that it's important to study technology and society, and kind of where we'll be heading. So a few terms that I wanted to go over. First of all, artifact. We will talk about technological artifacts. Sometimes when people hear artifact, they think like Indiana Jones, something really old. But a technological artifact is anything tangible that is a product of technology. A pen is a technological artifact. A smartphone is a technological artifact. The desk that my computer is sitting on is a technological artifact. So anything that you can actually put your hand on there is a technological artifact. We will also talk about invisible technologies, the technologies that are there that we don't always see. Things like our timekeeping system, our calendaring system. That's an example of an invisible technology. We can see the artifacts that are results of that technology, but the actual technology itself is invisible. We'll talk about the built environment, what humans have created as far as technology goes. We'll talk about polypotency, the concept that a technology can have many different uses. We'll also talk about the focal function of a technology, which is its intended use. The joke that I make is, when is a toaster not a toaster? When it's a deadly weapon, you hand it to somebody who's in the shower. The focal function of a toaster is not to be a weapon, but it could be. In that case, it would be polypotent. We will talk about social contexts of technologies. We will talk about perhaps social artifacts, which are the ways that we organize ourselves as people. That's also a kind of technology. So organizations, schools, community groups, political groups. We'll talk about technological optimists, the people who believe that technologies are always great and wonderful. We'll talk about the technological pessimists who think that all technological progress is awful. And there are also, you may have heard the term Luddites. Luddites are people who are really anti-technology. And we'll get into a little bit of that history as well. But of course, I don't think any of us are really fully techno-optimist or fully techno-pessimist. I think most of us are somewhere in the middle on that continuum. We will talk about unintended effects of technologies, and we'll talk about the revenge effects, examples of when technologies actually do the opposite of what they were intended. Some people argue that that's what's happening with social media, is that this technology that was designed to bring us together and help us be less lonely is in fact driving us apart and causing us to be more isolated. We will discuss ethical considerations. We will talk about a whole lot of ways in which technological systems become enmeshed. So as we get started on our journey in the course, we'll also want to think about the technological revolutions. Second machine age text will get into this early on. So as they put it, the history of humanity was mostly boring. And then we have the agricultural revolution, which is a big deal when people start to organize into settlements and manage the things that they grow and consume. And then we have the first machine age, and that was a real major turning point for civilization. And second machine age makes the argument that basically where we are now is this second machine age. We have the computer revolution, and we're on the cusp of things getting really bonkers. So I'll leave it there. I don't want to spoil the text for you. I found Second Machine Age to be a very approachable text. The two books we have for the class, very readable, very approachable. That said, please let me know when you have questions. I mentioned hypothesis in our previous video, and I'm having you all annotate the syllabus. I'm going to put some of our readings in hypothesis to encourage collaborative questioning and discussion. And if you've got a question or something to add to the conversation that isn't in the text or isn't in a hypothesis assignment, definitely let me know so that we can bring it up. I also wanted to bring your attention to one more thing. Let me share my screen real quick. In our Blackboard course, you may have noticed at the top of the course content section, there's the supplemental readings and resources section. If you click on that, it's going to take you to some links that are useful and links that I think are really fun. I'm obviously a nerd. I didn't get into education because I wasn't. And I really love coming in and playing with some of these resources. The 50 Greatest Breakthroughs Since the Wheel was a really fun article, and they give you, the option to jump straight, but you can read about things a little bit more in detail. There's also a technology timeline, which is pretty entertaining to me. I really like playing with the stuff and thinking about how a change in one area affected a change in another, how all of these things fit together. And then the rest of this is just kind of fun stuff to play with. There's the Smithsonian Science Service Historical Images, which is a fun place to poke around. Some publications, and we'll talk about Ned Ludd and the Luddites a little later. So let me know if you have any questions or concerns as you're getting started in the class, if there's anything that I can help you with. I'm getting into responding to your discussion posts and grading a little bit, so I'm excited to get to know you all as we move into the semester. I hope everything's going well for you, and if I can help, please let me know. Take care.